Whether it was a feeling of unfinished business in the Ocean's 11 world that drew Steven Soderbergh back to the world of feature films, or whether it was just this feeling of wanting to give it one more go to make a sequel comparable to the first installment in that franchise, I can't say. Nonetheless, Logan Lucky really was the spiritual sequel to the Ocean's 11 franchise that we've been waiting for. If in fact we have been waiting for that at all. And mind you, this is coming from a guy who didn't hate either Ocean's 12 or Ocean's 13. Even so, what made both of those films at least partially successful was the exact same thing that made Logan Lucky so incredibly entertaining, constantly fun, occasionally unexpected, and ever a delightful return to feature films for Mr. Soderbergh. That being, after unashamedly establishing itself as this intercutting, complex, quirky, character-filled cousin to the Ocean's film, it promptly, deliberately, and for the most part auspiciously turned most everything found in those previous Soderbergh heist films on their ear. And let me tell you, what always worked from start to finish so incredibly well was having the new quote-unquote Daniel Ocean and Rusty Ryan be these incredibly hapless, uncool, Virginian accented Logan brothers played by Channing Tatum and Adam Driver. And probably more than anything, the plain fun of those characters and the interactions that they had with the rest of the cast, from Daniel Craig to Jack Quaid to Brian Gleason to Katherine Waterson, was really what made this film work so well. If you enjoyed Shane Black's The Nice Guys or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, this film really was cut from the same sort of cloth. A film that succeeds most in the characters' writing and performances, both of them wonderfully presenting these extremely unique and eccentric individuals, all of whom have outstanding chemistry and rapport with one another. The very successfully entertaining, quirky, and unique voice of nearly all of those characters was also a paradigm of the very successful tone that this film captured. Soderbergh quite impressively rode that very difficult-to-ride line of presenting a world and a set of circumstances that were both extremely heightened and silly, while also containing elements of believability and groundedness. And of course, a lot of that really came from the outstanding actors that he cast and his directing of them, guiding and drawing out of them this very muted, almost deadpan sincerity, especially from Driver. Even Seth MacFarlane, known most for his excellent, albeit very cartoony voices from Family Guy, was able to present this decently believable, arrogant a-hole. But even more than the performances, Soderbergh shot this film in a way that made us feel like we were in real locations, watching real events unfold. His often overt documentary style, where he would play large portions of scenes out in wide shots, not only continued to make the goings-on in the film that much more authentic, it also meant that any time that he cut to one of his very sparingly used close-ups, it really packed a punch. A concept that too few filmmakers seem to understand these days. Of course, this being a heist film, it wasn't all about the characters, it was also about the robbery that those characters had to pull off. And not to sound like a broken record, but this film really did approach the construction and presentation of that heist in a way that instantly brought to mind Soderbergh's other heist films. But fortunately, for the most part, that was a positive thing. For a good portion of the film, the director and writer Rebecca Blunt really did ask the audience to pay close attention to these fragments of information, these incomplete sentences, and these dangling plot threads, forcing them to trust that they would ultimately tie them all together in surprising and fun ways later on down the line. And indeed, they did. Furthermore, I was constantly impressed that they were able to do so in this deliberate, almost slow manner, which did so much more than merely contrast this film to the Ocean's film. It spoke directly into who these characters were and their own unique approach to committing a crime. And honestly, the slower things got, quite often the more interesting and compelling they became. And there were certain moments I was just left to shake my head and wonder how this group of clowns was ever going to pull off this specific robbery. And in others, it pulled me to the edge of my seat as I was forced to wait and wait and wait as the opposing forces closed in on our heroes, potentially ending their heist once and for all. In the third act of the film, though, I did feel like the film faltered, even if only slightly, and obviously I'm not going to spoil it here, but basically, this is one of the few instances that the film's desire to be different to the Ocean's films backfired. From a desire to make us believe that something had happened, the film did, for a bit too long of a stint in that third act, begin to meander and lose its focus. Also, and I will explain this as cryptically as possible, but but some of the final moments of this film just didn't quite pack the same sort of punch that Soderbergh was able to deliver on Ocean's 11. Even so, I really did enjoy this film quite a lot. I found myself laughing from start to finish and loving each and every one of the characters in it. And for all these reasons, I will give the film a 3.5 out of 5 and a heart. I would still love what you guys thought of the film though, so definitely comment below and let me know. And as you guys can probably see, very obviously, I am in a brand new place. I moved from California to Houston just this last week, and the whole reason that I've been kind of absent from the Heartbeat is just because I've been packing up my life and moving over here for a brand new job. So I apologize for my absence. Thank you for being patient, especially to my patrons over on patreon.com. I so appreciate your support, and I definitely want to continue to honor that by making excellent content for you guys specifically. But for now, I'm Chris Hartwell. This is The Heartbeat. Thank you for joining me.